I'm super excited today. We have a special guest with us. His name's Andy, if you have not met him yet, and he's going to share his story today. So thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Rachel.
Yeah.
Very exciting.
You're like my first guest.
Is it?
Besides my husband,
goodness.
yeah.
What an honor.
I know, it's cool. I'm super excited. I think God has a lot he wants to do, and he has a lot he wants to share through you and just your story. So, and it's so cool because it's like you don't have to think of anything because God's already written it.
He's written it. Yeah, he's done all the hard part.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's pray, and then we'll dive into the episode.
Okay.
God, we just thank you for this time, and just thank you that you are here with us, and we just thank you for your presence, Lord. We just thank you for your peace and your goodness, God, and just how you've touched Andy's life, Lord. And I just pray that his testimony would be heard, but not just heard, and it would impact people too, God. We just thank you for your goodness and your complete faithfulness, God. We love you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, let's start easy. Just tell me a little bit about yourself and the viewers, because some of them don't know you, or a lot of them don't know you.
My name's Andy. We got that out of the way. I've known you, Rachel, for not even 2 years, 1.5 years, maybe 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we go to the same young adults group.
Yep.
That my best friend's parents lead, and so I've been best friends with him for a while, and that got plugged me in after high school to the group. And I think being with this group is such a big part of my story, and learning just to hear from the Lord, and I feel like he did so much crazy prep before my medical journey with the group that we'll get into.
Yeah.
But I'm graduated from college or high school for 2 years, and so I'm in college life now.
Nice.
I'm in nursing school at Grand Canyon University.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Let's go.
And so it's very exciting, I've been part of this new Promise Church for 2 years, and just starting to be back in person after being online for a while.
Yeah.
So it's a very fun season to be now.
Yeah, it's so cool to see you in church.
Yeah.
And these people are like, what are they talking about? It's like they don't know your story. But it's so cool. Well, let's dive in. Did you grow up in the church?
I did. My family, I have 3 older siblings, and my family, always went to church, and so I grew up with strong foundation. And so I got baptized 3rd grade. I was,
Okay. Yeah.
I probably didn't even have that many deep thoughts, but I was like, I want Jesus. And I was like, I'm down for this. And, but it's just the journey of God. I just feel like just getting in the door is just starting, and I feel like there's this crazy amount of what God's done since 3rd grade, obviously. So
Yeah.
I think I've just you can't learn everything about God. I feel like there's so much to learn, and every year I feel like I know a lot from the Lord, and he just blows my mind.
So much more.
So it's fun. It's fun. Just to learn so much.
It's an adventure. It just goes deeper and deeper. Never stops.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool. Okay, well, so do you want to share just kind of what you've been going through in your medical journey? You can start wherever you want. But yeah, I think God has done a lot in that part of your story. So.
Yes. Yeah, so this has kind of been an ongoing journey. Basically, I've had a genetic mutation that puts me at a deficiency with some immune cells in my body. And so throughout my life, I've dealt with different sorts of diseases. I've been to the hospital many times for blood transfusions because my blood would, act up. My cells would fight each other, and we didn't learn until much later that it was a genetic thing going on, because it was a lot of just visits to the hospital and just not knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
And so it was just kind of okay, just going back to the hospital, this thing again. But later found out that it was a genetic disorder. And so then we found out some of the things that I'd be vulnerable to in fighting, and certain diseases that I couldn't fight off myself. And it's good to know ahead of time so that we know what to do before that before worse problems came up. And so one thing that happens with my older brother, he shares the same genetic disorder as I did. And because we learned that through my hospital visits growing up, we learned that when my brother got a certain disease, we knew to go ahead and give him chemotherapy and a stem cell transplant for him in order from that disease getting much worse. And we wouldn't have known that unless I went through like visits growing up.
Yeah.
So even growing up, those visits that seemed kind of pointless and like, where are we going with this?
Yeah.
It's like saved my oldest brother because we knew what to do when he had a disease that he couldn't fight off.
Wow.
So my oldest brother, went through chemotherapy and a stem cell transplant. And when I say transplant, it's kind of confusing, but basically very simple form. Basically, our other brother who's healthy, he doesn't have we
Praise
call him
the
the healthy
Lord.
brother. We got the other brother in the family. He basically donates his cells, and our job is just to get it. We just have a port into our body, and we just receive the cells,
Wow.
healthy cells, and the chemo is I think people usually relate to like cancer. It just kills your cells. That's all it does. So the chemo is to kill my cells, kill my brother's cells, to make room for my other healthy brother's cells, which had the good, healthy cells.
Wow.
And so that was there's a lot of metaphor to be said about it, but it's basically my cells had to die in order for the new good cells to start in me. And so when I got a disease like my brother that I knew I couldn't fight off, and then that's when I went through my hospital chemotherapy, and that was a year after my brother went through his.
Wow.
So my mom just went back to back.
Oh my gosh.
She's a trooper.
Yeah, she's amazing.
And so that happened February of 2025.
Okay.
And I've been quarantined for a while since then, just allowing my new cells to slowly grow and mature up until a good maturity right now.
That's awesome. Yeah. How did it feel? Like, how did you feel about God when you were going through, like, all these tests and going to the hospital? Like, did it make you mad at God or, like, give you a different perspective even?
I think at first, the first hospitalization, I was surprised that I had a lot of peace, and I had a lot of good families in my church that were praying for me and just encouraging me that in like fourth grade, I wasn't thinking that it was scary. I thought it was kind of fun going to the hospital. They had I was at Phoenix Children's, and they had like stuffed animals and stuff. I was having a fun time. People were like giving me treats and like stuff, so I was kind of okay. Because I didn't really know what was going on, and I've been my parents. I think that probably helped us both just not overthink things. But I think getting older, and then it reoccurring, and then being on some medication I would be on, started to have effects on my thoughts and my attitude and my emotions. And I think that over time, the medicine specifically, I started realizing how difficult it was to go through it. And I didn't immediately go to like why God are you doing this? But it was like trying to understand every little thing, and it didn't match up. So I was just like, okay, give me more, and it like didn't add up for a long time. And I think that confusion and then almost a deferred hope of, oh, this comes up again, take this medicine again, that felt like, going to the hospital was like a hard place for my heart to go to and be like, okay, what news am I gonna get, kind of thing.
Yeah. Did you ever like stop asking why, like trying to understand things? Because I feel like that could be frustrating for people who don't even know Jesus,
Yeah. I think I did. I think I started to get that. So before my senior year of high school, I had another relapse of blood disorder and then medication. And when they said, okay, we're going to give you this, I was like, I felt pretty mature in my faith at that time. I was like, okay, God, like, you got it. Like, let's do this thing. Like, excited. And I was getting hyped about it. And then, like, a couple weeks into it, I had the same exact, like, mental hurt and everything. And I was like, why did I get excited in the first place? I was like, I knew what to expect. Why did I think it was going to go any different?
Yeah.
And I was like, and, like, not that, like, there was, like anything God did, but I was like, oh, I thought wasn't my trust enough kind of thing, and so I was confused about that. Um, and it does. I think it can be confusing of like trying to look for God in so many things that look confusing. I think it does like burn you out, and you kind of just be like, all right, whatever, just like let it ride through. And but I felt like I'd always just kind of ask God like what's going on, and eventually he gave me words through different, reading and people about how to choose God even when you're sick, like knowing that God has the power to heal you, but that He doesn't, that almost can hurt a little more. And I was like, if I have trust you, if I have faith, like we gotta get this clear. But then I got a word of about how much more powerful is it to still proclaim the goodness of God in His kingdom, even with having anything that's hurting you physically or whatever it is. And I think that was powerful, and I think I was able to hold on for that for a little bit, and just know, okay, I don't have to take the bait of trying to make sense of everything. I think there's a mental loophole that we want to find understanding, but it's better just to be obedient with the small little thing.
Yeah. I mean, we'll never know why some things happen, and it's like, even when we get to heaven, it's like, how many questions do we get to ask God? It's like, we don't really need to know everything. It can be frustrating, I think, for humans to not understand or know why things, because they, can't be in control. But that's really hard to go through, too, because you want to know why. Like, why, God, are you doing this to me? But then you just, like, have to have a different perspective. It's like, He's not doing this to you, but He's going to use you in it, but because He loves us so much, it's not like, I'm going to torture this person, It's like, no, it's all for His goodness and His grace and His faithfulness, and just like for us to speak and glorify what He's done, I mean, the fact that you have a healthy brother and he was able to help both of you guys and give you new cells, and the fact that your mom went through this 2 times, like, it's just crazy, it's like some people don't even understand, but it's just so good to even see your attitude about it, and just like how God's brought you through it, because I mean, you went through like a wilderness season. You were in the hospital for a very long time, and you were alone, and like, how was, like, actually literally, because it's like we're not going out in the desert and living in the desert for 40 days, but like, how was that for you? Because like, did you just know God so much deeper? Like,
going to the hospital for 4 days was about a year and a half after that time of medicine before my senior year. And just to go back of what I did learn from that confusing time was, I think God was revealing a lot of what my natural thought patterns or emotions were, and where I was relying on things, where my my strongholds, where I would put a lot of my worth in. And I think God used that. I think being plugged into the young adults that we were in was a big answer to prayer of God allowing to go through the group and the study and kind of making sense of why I would naturally think certain things and why things didn't go my way. And one of the things that we were talking about in our group before my 40 days in hospital was the Bible verse, or the classic Bible verse of a seed has to die to itself, and then if it produces fruit, it's 30, 60, 100-fold. And that was such a word for a long time, and that was like a word for our group. And then when I was hearing about going through chemo in 40 days, one of the things they said were, when you receive the new cells, we check on day 30, day 60, day 100 to see how they're growing.
Yeah.
And God worked that Bible verse into our group for many months before I even was in the hospital. So I think that even hearing about going to the hospital, God had these confirmations of He's prepared me for this time and to know the truth to rely on going to us. So it wasn't, oh God, where are you? I feel like His hand was in this, and it felt less of a out of nowhere, but God was like, it was an honor to go to this separate place. God was kind of highlighting for me. It wasn't it's like Psalm 91 of he delivers you and honors you, and he does that through, you know, any hero's journey. You have to go through something unknown or go through something difficult, but God honors you and delivers you, and it's like trusting on him in those hard times. And so I didn't know exactly what that looked like, but I knew, okay, that's a cool thing, like God, to trust God, honor. If he's done it through scenes of the past, why would he stop now?
Yeah, exactly.
You know? And so I think there was a lot of just good truths that just felt like confirmation that, okay, God's gonna be with this time, and it's a lot of community around me, so that I knew I wasn't fighting alone in going through that.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's dive into that because you're talking a lot about it, but the community part. Like, I feel as though community is so important, and it's like really helped me to get where I am. And I didn't have family for a while, like living here with me in Arizona, so I had to rely on my church community, and it was just so impactful. And so tell me about like what was life like before community and what was like after community. You know, it's just like it's so good.
Yeah, specifically like the young adults.
You can go there.
Yeah, I think. Just like this family that you can be so real and genuine about. I think that adults, it's not just have as much like fun feeling, like high school party like vibe. I think it's very genuine and like life changing. I think that they are just so for the truth and seeing you for who you really are and what you really need, and not like I never felt because I was struggling with something that they're like, all right, but God's bigger, so just feel better. I never got that. But it was like a very genuine way of going about things, and so I think that being able to talk with this group, it just made so much more sense of what I'd gone through in the past. Through a lot of things, but just making sense of what's so easy to think of in the world and what to value, and I think they're just so about the truth, and I just talking with them just reminds me, like, just giving a lot of peace of like, okay, what really matters, and it just FaceTiming Thursday nights in the hospital, and it'd be like, it would always be a good time, and always just good prayer and worship, and just such people that I could rely on, and never felt alone, even though I was in the room separate from everybody for a while. Yeah,
I mean, like, God's provision is like perfect in His timing, because what would it be like if you didn't have the community, in the hospital? It'd be so different, I mean, you did have church and family, so it's like you didn't have no one, but it's different. Like, I think our group I'm not like, oh my gosh, they're amazing, but they get to the meat of what's important. They're like Jesus before everything, and like you said, they really are honest and genuine, and I think you spoke on a lot about like truth. Like, they speak the truth, and we want to hear the truth spoken over us. And can you talk a little bit about like how you learned to renew your mind, and just like how that kind of became a weapon for you?
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much to it, but it was cool because even the group prayed for me even before going to the hospital, and praying words that would come to you guys' mind about verses and different truths, and to have like papers of what you guys are saying, like that, to focus on that no matter what like the doctors say or test results or whatever, to go back to that. It was always reassuring to know, okay, God's got this, so what am I looking for? It's like I almost didn't have to focus on what the medical up-to-date things was going on if I knew, okay, the end path is this. But yeah, part of that renewing the mind, I remember a few months into quarantine, it was summertime, and I was just hanging out with my dad, just like watching movies, watching baseball, playing board games, cooking food, and it was just like a very simple life. It was a very slow, simple life, and I think that what God would kind of bring to my mind of how, like, when I started out at college, obviously my dad's helping me get through college and everything, and he wants me to be a nurse and get a job and be successful and everything like that. And I think it's easy to interpret that as okay, like I want to please my dad. Like that's a good thing, that's a good desire, and get this degree and get working and provide and everything. But what I realized being in this time in this season, my dad wasn't like upset that I wasn't out getting a degree or working or anything, and it was kind of changing my mind of how a Heavenly Father looks at me, that He's not just writing me like a syllabus, like He's not giving me homework deadlines and saying do the work and come back to me. Like God doesn't want me to do work for Him, He just wants me to be with Him. And that completely changed my mind of what's like productive in our life. I think we just easily can just spend a lot of time. You can serve on Monday night, go to group on Tuesday night, do whatever. Like you can fill yourself with a lot of times that are serving like they're good things. But at the end of the day, if it's just kind of a self-righteous like, oh, I just want to do good works. At the end of the day, God He just wants my heart. He just looks at me and there's nothing I can perform for Him that will please Him, or like I have to gain anything. I can work from Him and be with Him and do things and He can teach me. But like it's always for me to be with Him. And like I was just blown by just God's love, how much productive is just to be with the Lord, and He will provide. We can work together, and it's not I don't have to earn it. I don't have to fight on my own to provide from. And that was just a really beautiful thing to learn. Just be with the Lord. And it's like the woman with the alabaster jar just pour down all the oil at Jesus' feet, and that Jesus said that wherever the gospel's preached, that word should be there too, of just wasting what we think is waste all on the Father and just Jesus, and just this is everything that I am, and then He will use that the best way he wants to use it. So that completely changed my mind.
That's such a good picture of it. I feel like you just hit the nail on the head. Is like being with the Lord. That's like the most important, and like nothing else like matters. And it's like everything will flow through that. It's like, of course God cares about everything you care about, but to have a different perspective is, I think, such a huge key. And it's a relationship. You're spending time with the Father, and you can do all the things at church. You can serve and you can go to this and that, but like we talked about it last week, it's like, is it bearing fruit? I mean, because spending time with Jesus at a table is like probably bearing more fruit than the 10 ministries you could be involved in. It's like, so that's really important, I think, at the relationship. And I think young adults they do promote that, because we have a lot of worship time and ministry and prayer time, but it's not just about yes, it's about what the Bible says, but also it's like about being with the Lord and soaking and meditating and just hearing. So how do you hear from God? Like, does He speak to you? Do you hear in the Word, pictures?
I feel like the more the more we see God, I feel like God can't stop talking. It's like, I feel like there's awesome. So many different ways that God speaks, and that's been just so fun to just hear all the different ways God is trying to speak to me. I think just a very solid way is just going to His Word and reading, and I think that instead of just like, okay, let me get these chapters done and then I'm complete, if I do it in like my 15 minutes before thing, I think if I just read just a short, it could be a devotional that has scripture in it or whatever, and just have this shorter of word, but just the more I just meditate on it and just pray through what that means with God, I think He just provides like revelation of what He's saying in His Word, and the Father gives the light bulb, like the revelation. Yeah. Oh wow, this resonates. It like highlights something in my heart, and I think I've just been able to learn of. Sometimes I kind of move when I talk, and so sometimes I go to the park and I sit down and I write and I read, and I just walk around my table and just pray to God. It looks kind of weird, people walking by. And I kind of just like talk things out, just kind of repeat His whatever, like the scripture, and just whatever comes to my mind about my life, like just like God just kind of like rewire like His truth in my life, and just kind of singing, whatever like worship song kind of comes to my head, and just praying that, and just like God, like just praying, Jesus, whatever His will, and glorifying His name, and He allows to. He's so big, but He comes into our smallest moments in our life and wants to breathe in those moments and be in those moments. And I think also God is just such a great storyteller, and it's like a saying, like show don't tell. Like you don't have to explain every single thing about your cool story. You can just show, and I think God just provides so many cool visuals in our life, and just words. You just see in the day. I was wearing like a face mask, and Josh saw that like the brand was like Pure Gem. He's like, "Andy, you're a Pure Gem." I was like, "Oh, thanks, Josh." And then next day, I go to an appointment, and then when you get your blood drawn, and it's like a pediatric hospital, you get like a token, you get a toy, and I got like a random toy, and it was like a pure little gem.
Oh my gosh,
I was like, "Oh, let's go."
That's so cool.
I was like, and that's just like funny little like. God just like little funny little things that just like cheer you up, and that's like a tiny little example. But like I feel like whatever. I feel like if I like watch a movie or a TV show, I'm like, oh, there's like a truth to that, and I feel like God can like let me talk through the episode with Him, and just storytelling. I think God just shows whatever we are, wherever we are. I feel like we're seeing, okay, God, like pick up and preach. Like what's
Our group loves to do that. Yeah, that's cool. I feel like God's in everything, and if you're aware and you're looking for Him, like you'll find Him in different ways. Like I think there's no one way that people do hear from God, and if you seek Him, you'll find Him in different ways. And like, yeah, that's cool. I love that.
Absolutely. Another example, just when I was before going through transplant. This is when I had realized I had to go away from college and step away from college for a little bit in nursing, which I was like passionate to like keep going for with.
Yeah.
I was just like sitting during winter break, and I saw like this commercial for GCU, and it was like, oh, if you want to do nursing online, here's a way, kind of thing. And it was like a very just like cheaply made 30-second commercial. But then I was like, oh, it felt like a confirmation of like, okay, I can be online and do nursing. Like it was just like a confirmation of I can be away from in person. That it was like it won't be the worst thing in the world if I stop nursing like for right now and go through this period. And so it was like even when you're asking about like God will confirm certain things.
And God knew what you wanted. Like He put that desire there, so He was gonna make it work. Not in our timeline, always, ever, but His timeline, it's so good. Yeah. That's good. I love that. So what has like helped you go deeper with the Lord? Like how have you experienced the more? Because there's a lot of Christians walking out there, and they're doing the right things, and they're, praying and going to church, but they're not experiencing like the more, because it's so much deeper than just that, basic level. So can you tell me about that?
Such a good question. It's a thinker though.
I know, yeah.
Go more deeper with the Lord.
Because you've reached it. Obviously we're never, fully arrived, but you have, I can tell when people have started experiencing the more. It's the fruit, it's the attitude, it's the mindset, and you're living a life, like the disciples. And it's like, it's not just words on the page, but it's coming to life,
Yeah. I think we talked about the dying to ourselves, the breaking open the 3600 fold, the chemo diet myself, and then get the new cells. Yeah, I think to that, God just allowed kind of just like shaking of what I thought, what my thoughts were and my emotions and my desires. I think God allows seasons in our lives that make us, what if we're like very holding on to something, He'll put a situation where it'd be dangerous to hold on to it, and we're like forced to let go of it. And so like and then whenever I go through situations that whatever I used to rely on doesn't work, then then it's like now I don't want it anymore. So I think naturally, I like to really think things out, make things feel right in my head, and like think everything out. And then when I was on medication, sometimes I like could not stop my thought patterns. So there was no way of thinking everything out. Like it wasn't possible. Like I tried many times, but it wasn't possible. And I think from that, God was allowing it to be like a mirror of here's what you naturally want to do, but it's not going to solve every issue, and it's just going to hurt you more just trying to overthink everything. And I think that there's a lot of accusations that the enemy will throw, or doubts or fears or whatever about something, that if there's so much chatter in our head, it's hard to decipher what's from the enemy and what's from God. And so I think God used time going on the medications that would make me overthink to not take the bait of just trying to make sense of everything, because then it just clears up my head, and and then I can hear more what's actually from God and what's me trying to eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil and try to figure everything out. I think recently what I've been doing is whatever thing comes in my head about whatever event I have to go to or someone I have to talk to, whatever, I write down like the natural lies that might come up in my head, because even if I'm not intentionally thinking these lies, I feel like it could just subconsciously creep in. And so I just started recently writing out lies that could come up that feel like, and those are the easier things to write down, like they're actually readily like on your mind or my mind. And then I replace them with truth statements with the Lord. I think he takes a look of what's the underneath desire, even with this event, and then he wants me to just replace whatever thinking with his mind. And I think that's just easy to go back to instead of trying to, is this correct? Is this true? And there's just a lot of just temptation of like taking the bait of certain thoughts that we don't have to figure out. And so I think God has just reversed my own thinking and my own expectation, and and what I naturally try to think. And I think that being away from the world for a bit of just the natural, kind of like the rat race of just just being busy to do work and do all the normal things in life. Like I realized how much of a gift God gave me of just being away from that. And as much as like I naturally wanted to be involved in whatever the standard was, like God like chose me to bring me out of that and to just sit back and slow down my pace of life a lot. I got rid of like internet use and like YouTube and stuff on my phone in college, and I think that was like a few months of prepping me, because in quarantine like I didn't have any of that, or I couldn't like easily go to social media or like distract myself or anything like that. I would watch just movies or TV as like my break. And I think God just slowed down a lot of my thinking and was able to gather a lot of things, because I just think life just goes so fast, so it's hard for us to even just catch up with what's going on. So I feel like just slowing things down and just allowing God to speak through certain thoughts and emotions, and just praying through a lot of things like that. So that's kind of a very weird running around answer, but
it's good. I mean, it shows like your intentionality and you're being proactive. And it's like, I don't think a lot of people slow down to even think about, like, you just one day, all the thoughts they have, it's crazy. And I think that's like a good practice, even just journaling, every day. I know the more I journal, the better I feel. So when I'm not doing it, I'm like, oh my gosh, so much going on. And then you said all the noise and the distractions, and that's something God's been talking to me a lot about. But I feel like renewing the mind and getting the perspective right, and taking those thoughts captive, like that's what you're really talking about. It's like, because the enemy, he wants to come in, and it's so easy for him, and he knows our weaknesses. But then it's like, we also know all the weapons we have. We know the goodness of the Lord, and we know the promises we have. So it's like, we can totally combat that. And it's crazy to me. There's people out there that don't know this, It's like, I mean, I didn't know it till not that long ago too, I feel like. But I mean, in any situation, it's like, if you're having anxiety, it's like God says, don't worry, don't have anxiety. If we just trust him, we don't need to, you know. It's like we already know everything's going to be okay, even if it doesn't seem okay, you know. It's like it's hard, but it's the word is like something that we can stand on, and I found, like, you know, the more you speak it out, you know, the better it sinks in. What's like a verse, or you can even share a song just that you like, that really impacts you, or that you stood on a lot during your journey?
It kind of ties in what you were just talking about, but just do not worry about anything, but by prayer, petition, thanksgiving, give your requests to the Lord, and the peace of Christ will transcend all thoughts and understanding. And I definitely, like, don't have anxiety. And I'm like, okay, yeah, sure. Okay, you're done. No anxiety. And that's, and so, but it really is true. And I think I think you can be offended. I think you can feel emotions that are, that are allowed to deal with, but not be outside of God's will, and still know that God's filtering through this. Like, if he's crafting a clay pot, like, I don't know if you've seen how, like, they make it, but you have to, like, shape it, and it's like, you feel kind of the shaping. It feels kind of like burdensome, I guess, but God allows those emotions to come up so that he can deal with them. I think that, just speaking with God about why, I think it would be ignoring if we didn't think that it's being, like, taking offense being with God. I think we'd be lying. I think we should be offended when we talk to God, like, to be being genuine, because how we're naturally, our will is, like, we want to justify when we do something wrong, or we want to blame, or just like rationalize it, just kind of justify whatever we do as, like, oh, it's okay. And so if God's shaking that up and he's pointing out a truth that is not what our wills, like, wanting to agree with, then we will be offended. So I think we should be offended by God sometimes, but, like, his love is to know, like, because I think he's just peeling back layers of who we really are. And when I think about, like, when he's pulled back layers, it's like, I didn't want that Andy that was focusing on this stronghold. So I'm glad that Andy got offended, because I don't want that in my life. And God doesn't want that in our life when he sees how pure we are to him. And he's like, let's do away with these things. And so whatever that looks like, if that's me, just, like, confessing if I didn't do as well in a anatomy class or something, like, if I get a dent in my car pulling out of a parking lot, and I drive home, and I get home, and then I see the dent, and I'm like, I want to wash it off before my parents, like, see it. And then I'm like, oh wait, what do I even clean it with? And I'm like, should I go to the store or Walmart and get, like, a cleaner? And I'm like, okay, how much will this cost? And it's like, I'm doing a lot more than I need to, and all God's asked me to do is just confess to my parents, like, this happened. Like, it's a very easy thing, because if I talk to them, like, sure, they'll be okay, like, this isn't a good thing, but they're not gonna, like, kill me, like, they'll be like, oh, here's the cleaning solution, or use our, like, money to buy whatever. It's like, life's a lot, like, simpler and easier. We just do the one thing God, like, asked me to do. But, like, in my pride, I'm like, what way can I hide this? I'll do so much more harder things just to do that, when God's saying, like, you only have to do one thing, you just have to confess it, and it's not that hard. But my will just doesn't want to be offended, and it's pride. It always wants to be like, oh, I didn't do anything wrong. And so it's just such an easy thing that, like, I feel like every day there's something that comes up that your pride's like, nope, like, I don't want to taint my image, kind of thing. And I feel like the more just laying down that pride and being offended is a good thing.
And then, like, the dying to self, and like you said, it's like, I feel like you were describing, our spirit coming out. It's like, we don't want to live by our flesh. We want to live by the spirit that's inside of us. And so it's like, we have to let go of those things that our soul, desires, because in the end, it doesn't matter, that's not what's important. Okay, well, let's do one last question. what is like a new thing God's been doing in your life or saying in your life? Because this is a season of God's always doing something new. He always has something better, you know? So what's God been speaking to you recently?
He does. I think one thing, there's like two things. One thing, you actually talked about when you prayed in the group, prayed for me on my birthday blessing, was this is a season to just go and just to testify, to what God's been doing, and I think that's a fun season. I think that it's really funny because when I was quarantined and away from things, it's like, oh, I just want to get back and just do all the things, and then I wanted more. But then I was like, I want it as soon as possible, and I want things to happen as soon as possible, but it feels like just slow, and the more I want it, the slower time it feels before I get to it. And so, like, I went, like, getting off of the hospital in April, I was like, okay, I want college in September, and then that didn't happen, and then I was like, okay, I'll do college in spring, and then that didn't happen, and it was like waiting, and then I was like, oh, it's gonna be so long before I'm back in person with young adults or whatever.
Yeah.
And then as I like started accepting that and being at peace with that and actually being like, okay, no, I'm good. Then God like brought me back to young adults, and he brought me back like I feel like the things I thought I was like I wanted right away, but then had to wait longer, and then it's that peace. Okay, I'll wait as long as need.
Yeah.
And then out of nowhere, like things like the day of, I got like confirmation that I should be able to go to the young adults in person.
Yeah.
And so I feel like God will, like, if we just put our, like, just accept as quick as possible, like God's timing, like then we're surprised of what it does. But I think it's exciting to wait for things. It's exciting to not just get everything immediately, just to actually enjoy something and just wait. Like, okay, like I want to prepare to receive this gift, but like, what do I need to do so I can receive it? And I think that's an exciting thing. And I think that God doesn't let any desire in your heart go unnoticed. Like the true desire, not what we think is good, but like a true genuine thing. Even when I was like the hospital and thinking about, I want to kind of like, I was like writing comic books of like these characters, and it was basically just like kind of wishing what my life was, and I didn't realize it. But then like 2 months later, I had like this amazing hangout with a friend, and we went and did all these like fun things, and I didn't even plan that. And if I wanted to go my way, like that wouldn't even have happened. Like God was just like, no, I was thinking about those things in the hospital, and then just brought it out of nowhere for me. And like I think God just surprises us with like bringing what we really want of our heart when we don't like necessarily expect it. And so I think doing a new thing now, God, one is just kind of just sharing testimony of what God's been doing, because it's such a just powerful word that God's been just so good. Just put his presence in me, just to hold that, and like I can't help but share it with people, and so it's fun just to talk to him. This is a great season just to testify to those things, and then also some desires and prayer requests that I like prayed during those time of quarantine. I think they've just come up at random times. They already have happened, like some things I didn't expect.
Yeah.
And so I think we don't have to manage like, oh, being with God, it always has to be like a wilderness life, but he has the perfect orchestrator. Yeah. And so just testifying to what God's been doing, and just being excited for what God's gonna do, and the desires in my heart.
Yeah, that's really cool. And not a lot of people can say that waiting is a good thing, because we want it now. That's so good. Well, it's been so fun having you on the podcast. You did awesome, and it's just fun to hear your story, and I feel like I want to ask you so many more questions. But thank you for coming and just sharing, and I'm excited to see you testify this year and just share your story, and just like want the Lord to give you a stage, and he will, and not for you obviously, but for his glory, so it's really cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for joining us today, and just remember the Lord is doing a new thing in your life.